Hello everyone. On tonight's episode of YOUVAK Speaks, we will be discussing the importance of financial management amongst youngsters. Our speaker for today is Mr. Anil Pais. Mr. Anil has been in the banking and financial sector for over 30 years. He worked for large MNC banks such as HSBC, Dresdner, and also has a 15-year stint with JP Morgan, where he was the executive director. In 2012, he moved to Tata Consultancy Services as the head of global cash operations. He managed a team of above 1,000 associates. Mr. Pais has now moved his interest into land development and is working on a project on the outskirts of Mumbai. He is an alumni of our very own St. Anthony's High School. Mr. Pais is a postgraduate in commerce and also has a master's in administrative management from Jamnalal Bajaj, Mumbai. Please put your hands together for Mr. Anil Pais.
Hello everyone, welcome to YOUVAK Speaks. Today we have Mr. Anil Pais with us, and it's a pleasure having you with us, sir. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so our first question is, we've always been told when it comes to finances, you must save, save and save. So when it comes to planning our personal finance, how much do you suggest we save, and does budgeting really help when it in the initial stages of life for a person starting their career?
Okay. See, savings is always a must. Okay. Because if you look at the current scenario, we don't know how long the job holds today.
Yeah.
Okay. So, whatever it is, there is no yardstick per se. I'm now giving you my personal views. Okay. It could be different for different people. So, there's no one size fits all. Traditionally, it's always been said that you should apply the 50, 30, 20 rule. Okay, and what is that 50, 30, 20 rule? Is now again here, okay, this may not apply to everyone. So 50% of your total income, monthly total income, goes towards your regular expenses, could be household expenses, whatever it could be. 30% you set aside. I mean, the younger generation, I'm sure, would want some of the latest gadgets, some designer clothes maybe. So you set aside a certain sum of money towards that, and then a minimum of 20% of your salary you should save.
Okay.
Okay. Now, here again, I'm just, telling you, there are some families where the youngster who starts working could probably be the only person earning. So
Yeah.
is it possible for him or her to save 20%? We don't know. It again depends on the total amount that actually comes home.
Yeah.
For someone, say, earning about, you start, a fresher starts with 15 to 20,000.
Yeah.
20% of 20,000 would be about 4,000 rupees. Can you It depends. So ideally, you should set aside at least 20%. Okay, and keep it in in various modes. Like, let me tell you, today the government has a very good scheme called NPS, National Pension Scheme.
Yeah.
Accumulate that money, and you start small. Start small, accumulate. At the end of your working career, you'll have a sizable chunk of money to use for your expenses. Because if today you're incurring say 10,000 rupees a month as expenses, considering inflation, 20 years from today, that could be
Huge.
anywhere, depending on what the inflation rates are. So therefore, yes, savings is good. Keep a small amount, set aside a small amount, make it a point to regularly save. Another mode, so savings, yes, is a must.
Yes.
for the rainy
Okay,
day.
yeah, that was really good. And now, okay, yes, of course, we have to save a lot. And for someone who has, okay, started earning and is saving a certain amount of his salary, monthly income, and he has this, suppose 20,000, he has already saved 4,000, but he is new to finance and he does not have any basic knowledge, but he wants to invest this money. So, for a complete beginner, what investment approach would you suggest? Like,
For a beginner, I would suggest the safest options. Like one is, I'm sure all companies today give you, deduct a certain amount as provident fund.
yeah.
See, go for completely, what should I say, tax saving options. Okay, the provident fund, which your the employer deducts from your salary a certain percent. It used to be 8.33, then it was 12%. Depends, each company may have. So I would suggest for a beginner, the best option is you add what is called a voluntary provident fund, which means when your salary comes in your hand, there is already a sum deducted and that gets saved. That money accumulates and you can keep transferring it. If you change jobs, you can keep transferring it to the next company and it will accumulate. You get 8.5% interest on that, which today's day and age is, you can't ask for anything better. And this amount is all tax free. So at the end of your working career after 25 years, you apply the compounding effect, you can imagine how much you will have. So that is one. NPS is the other. And the government PPF is also there, which is again, you can invest up to 1.5 lakh a year. Invest, you don't have to invest that full amount. Keep small, start small, and it will build up.
And
So
for
these are a
people,
few.
yeah, and for people having a bit of a finance knowledge, should they directly jump into risky things like, the directly jump into the stock market, or should they, wait, learn, and experiment little by little? How do you say
See,
that they should start?
uh, okay, a stock market is indeed risky,
Yes.
but if you do your homework well, in the sense you analyze the company, don't just go and invest in stocks because you receive an SMS saying this stock is going to do well, buy it. No, don't buy it. Okay, research the company, find out why is this company good. Okay, do enough research. You may miss the bus initially. Maybe when it bottoms out, you may not get it. You'll probably buy it at 10% higher than what the bottom price, but at least you have done your research. You have, you know, go for a fundamentally strong company. Today, there are so many companies. You invest in those companies. It's your hard-earned money. Okay, it's not money that is freely available to you. So invest in the stock market, but make sure you do your homework, research the companies, talk to people who are well versed in this, and you have today the internet gives you every bit of information. So research it, and then yes, it's a good thing to do. Do invest.
Yes, but with sufficient homework there.
Of course,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, because most of us, as like I can speak for myself. I have not taken up finance nowhere in my life. So when it comes to school, even degree college, if you go to see, there is not one subject that will introduce you to finance and how to manage yourself. So things like these, when people come and they get very influenced by things saying that I invested in the stock market and it I made this much profit, and people my age usually get into it and they don't know what they're dealing with, and they go ahead and make mistakes that they cannot
Correct,
roll back.
correct.
Yeah.
There is a very good saying: you cannot time the market. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you are an investor, please stay invested for the long term. Don't try to play the market because nobody can predict what the market is going to do, how is it going to behave. So if you are investing, invest it for a long term, stay invested because a good stock will give you good returns. You know, let's take simple stocks. Okay, IT sector. You are in information
Yeah.
technology. The IT sector stocks. Wipro initially was not an IT stock. They started off as making Vanaspati, and person who invested in Wipro when that stock was originally, what should I say, launched in the market and stayed put with that stock today has become a millionaire.
Yeah.
Similarly, the case with Infosys and TCS, and there are very good companies. So therefore, you have to do your research
Yeah.
and don't go by what people tell you unless they themselves are invested in that stock. Because
Yeah.
you read a lot of articles in the papers. Now, who knows whether these people are paid to,
Yeah. Say that.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, because there are a lot of things going on nowadays that people drive. They're called market movers. They try to drive and convince you to do things that you don't want to do. So
correct,
yes,
correct.
yeah, that's so.
And mind you, see, those are the people, those are the ones who drive the market, are the ones who invest in crores.
Yeah,
You and I would probably be investing maybe 100 shares or max 1,000 shares,
yeah,
right? So that won't make any dent
any
in the
difference.
market of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's that for sure. And talking about things like these, recently, I mean, over the years, we have seen many, financial frauds, and then people getting into schemes that they did not sign up for, or they expected something else. So how does like one shield themselves from these kind of bad claims, and how like people are not usually aware of how risky that instrument is that they are trying to invest, but there are people around that try to scam you into getting into things because they are having their commission into that. So what would you like suggest people not how to do save themselves from all these kind of schemes?
Okay. See, first thing is greed. Don't be greedy. See, we all want our money to multiply the fastest. Okay. And there are people who see this weakness in us and will come to you and say, okay, you invest your money in X company, you get 1% extra interest.
Yeah.
Now, if that company was so good, that company would not pay you that 1% extra interest, would rather pay you 1% less. Now, see, there are differences here. Okay. Depending on what your financial, and just take, and
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
today my financial standing is very good, okay, and I go, like you've heard about the CIBIL scores, right? Credit scores, which you get. So if I go to a bank and my CIBIL score is very good, the bank will offer me interest, a loan at a reasonable rate of interest.
Yeah.
But if my CIBIL score is bad, no bank will be willing to lend me money.
Yeah.
And therefore, what happens? I will be willing to pay more interest to get money because I'm desperate.
Yeah.
The same thing goes with companies. Companies who do not have a solid financial standing or good
Yeah.
fundamentals, because they are desperate for money, will be willing to give you a higher rate of interest. Or there are like stocks which people will say, buy this company, it's going to increase tenfold. So be very careful to all that. The main reason why there are frauds today is because we are careless and because we are greedy. Okay. So it doesn't matter. You earn 0.5% less interest, but your principal has to be
Secure.
protected.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'll give you a simple example. Okay. Uh, I'm just diverting a bit, but this is still finance related. Today, there are a few buildings that have gone in for redevelopment.
Yeah.
Okay. And builders promise you the moon.
Yeah.
So people say, yes, wow, great, builder. They promise monthly rent and everything. You vacate your premises, they knock down the building. Then what happens is the guy, he has it planned. Okay. He will just show it to you like as though this happened suddenly. They don't have the money to pay you. So what do? They stop paying you. Getting it?
Yeah.
And you are left to fend for yourself because it may also come to a point where they may stop the entire, they may not even complete the project. So you are left high and dry. It's happening. So
Yeah.
that's another fraud that's happening. And you get calls. Somebody will call you, and very common is all the North Indian numbers, Chandigarh and Haryana. You will get a call. You won a lottery. You will get some fancy car, or you'll get some lakhs of rupees in your account, and they ask you for your details, account details. Please do not do that. Okay, if they have to genuinely give you money, tell them, send me a demand draft. You know my name, you have my address, send me a demand draft. But what happens is we say, wow, we're going to get that money, we provide all our bank details, and then you know what happens. So, yeah, there are people, and today, because with so many jobs gone,
Yeah.
people are desperate to make money some way or the other. So, you have to be careful and do not share your passwords or your user IDs with anybody. In fact, I remember when I was working, uh, we couldn't even access family members' accounts from our office laptops or PCs, because they said, no, that is not yours. You can only access yours. So that way, and don't keep your passwords written all over the place. Another thing is use very cryptic passwords.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
all these,
Yeah, makes sense. You should always try to be safe when it comes to
you
these
have to be
bank
careful.
frauds are really uh,
Yes,
on the game nowadays. And talking about flats, what you were saying. So when it comes to career and future goals, everyone has this in their head that I want to buy a house, but there are
okay.
always been these debates as to should we go ahead buy a house or take a loan, or should we just go ahead by renting. So for young people who have less capital, who will more probably tend towards taking a fat big loan to buy that house. So what is your take on buying versus renting apartments, and especially in a city like Mumbai where buying apartments is like just go stop. I mean, it
It,
literally takes up your entire life savings in that.
it will. It will. See, one thing I believe, okay, now this is my personal view. I believe that you should have one house of your own. Unless, of course, your parents have already kept a house for you, that's fine. But you should try, because that's one way. I'll tell you why I'm saying this. It's one way of forced saving for you. You'll be paying monthly EMIs. Now, you'll be paying EMIs. If you rent a place, you'll be paying rent there. So
Rent.
either ways, you're still an outflow. At least you have an asset in your name. Now,
Yeah.
there are people who own multiple houses. We'll come to that later. I'm not saying that. One house, whether it's a small 1 BHK, one house, I think you should invest in, because you also get tax benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. So you should have one house. And another thing is, today jobs are not fixed to one city. You could be transferred to different cities.
Yeah.
So if you have that one house and you're transferred to another city, you can also offset income, because you'll have to rent a house in the other city. Your hometown, you'll have a house. You go to the other place, you'll rent a place. Don't buy it there. Rent a place. This place which you have your own, rent this, so at least you offset the rent you'll pay there by the rent you get here. So finally, when you retire, you still have a house of your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one, okay. I'll give you another, okay, there is another school of thought on this. You've heard of this, and this is something which was told to me by my financial advisor. So I'll just narrate this. You've heard of this building called Samudra Mahal in Worli?
No.
It's on the Worli sea face, and it is one of the costliest building. Okay, an apartment there is the most expensive in Mumbai. In 71, when that building was constructed, the price for that a price for an apartment there was 700 or 770 a square foot. Today, I mean, a few years back, the last deal that was done was about 1,25,000 a square foot. Okay. At the same time, people who've invested in mutual funds, okay,
Yeah.
and accumulated. Now, the number of years, if you see the number of years, if people had accumulated in systematic investment monthly, the returns that you get, okay, are a little higher than the appreciation that real estate has actually. There's an exercise done, and you can Google it. Okay, the value of that house today is. But coming back to your original question, yes, you should have one house which will help you even if you're transferred to another place.
Okay, thank you for that. And now getting to our next question, more like if you see the newer generations, they are more inclined and hot-blooded to get into startups and things of their own. So what's your opinion on people getting into startups and businesses in very early stages of their life without work experience? Or what would you suggest you should start with a job with a steady income, accumulate some money, and then start something? Or so what's your take on that?
See, my take is if you want to start a business, how convinced are you that your idea is good? Okay, that is the first, because you have to be, if you are not convinced, you've got to have a solid plan. That is point number one. Point number two, which you rightly said, was do I have sufficient capital?
Yeah.
Because if you have an idea, it's not even started, not even,
Yeah.
implement, who will fund you? Which VC will come and put money in there? So you have to start, right? Unless, of course, you have a financial backing, maybe a family member has put together a corpus for you. Yes, a startup, no doubt, is the thing because, while you do a job, you're paid a fixed sum at the end of the month. If your startup succeeds, you could do much more than that. Yes,
Yeah.
but is your idea convincing enough? Are you convinced? Now, I was reading somewhere, if you are able to put your entire plan on one sheet of paper, okay, and the person reading it is convinced that yes, this is a solid plan, go for it. Because the longer you take to convince somebody means you are not,
There are many ifs
you're
and
not,
buts. Yeah.
yeah. So it is good provided have a you are a strong conviction of your idea and you have adequate capital. Otherwise, work for a couple of years, accumulate some capital, and then go in for it. Because there are people who
Okay, so moving on to our next question. For many of us, when we are younger, we do not think about insurances and stuff like that. So, at a younger age, or someone who's just starting off, should he consider? I'm not talking about car or bike insurance, like health or life or something like that. So, should he consider, or he or she should consider buying such insurances, or is there a certain stage in your life where you start?
yeah. See, now here again there are different schools of thought. My personal view, okay, you should have an insurance for yourself. If you started earning today, okay, I would say if your salary is say 15 lakhs a month, I'm sorry, 15 lakhs a year,
Yeah.
okay, 15 lakhs a year, you need, because you're starting fresh, and if you have family dependent on you, they say you should cover yourself for 20 times that amount.
20 times.
Okay. So let's not take 15 lakhs. Let's take 5 lakhs a year.
Yeah.
5 lakhs a year, 20 times that amount. You should be insured. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, while returns on insurance are very low, okay. So today, earlier, I mean, in our days, while I am not sure whether there was term insurance where you pay a nominal amount and you're insured, your risk cover is taken care of. So coming, you know, it's good to have an insurance, and you did not take a money back policy, or there are different policies.
Yeah.
So you pay a nominal sum, take a term policy, insure yourself for 20 times the amount that you're earning per year, because should something happen to you, your next of kin will get the money that is involved. The second thing is, today, considering the lifestyle we all live, it's always good to take a critical illness policy.
Yeah.
Okay, because we don't know what will happen tomorrow, day after, right? So there is a lot of insurance companies offer critical illnesses. So if something happens to you, not only is your medical expenses taken care of, but also, your family members will get some money, so that, it takes care of them. So don't go too much into insurance, but keep one policy. Now, there is a study done. People who take term policies, okay,
Yeah.
these term insurance, research shows that initially people pay this amount for the first 5 years, and after that they tend to forget. So what happens is you're not insured, so there's no risk cover for you. So long as you religiously because this for term insurance, you have to ensure that every year you pay the premium.
Yeah.
Only then you are covered. So you got to ensure that it is that. Another thing is diversify. Don't just put all your eggs into one basket.
Yeah.
Insurance, yes, one part of your savings in insurance, one part in mutual funds, one part in, say, gold bonds, some part in stock exchanges and stocks, and some in fixed deposits, because today you know where the fixed deposit rates are. You barely get 5.5 to six
Yeah.
percent interest, which
Still
doesn't
decreasing.
sustain.
Yeah.
So
So
that I hope you have answered your insurance question.
yeah, yeah, sure you have. And now let's get to our last question, and this is, I guess, one of the most important questions that most of us do not ever ask ourselves that until very late. And this would also apply to people who have like 5 to 10 years into their career. So retirement planning, like when do we start and how do we look at it? Because most people think that, I have another say 20 to 30 years to work for, I it doesn't make sense to start now. Or and there are people that are like already 20 years into their career, and then they realize that, oh, I should have started earlier, or I don't have the money right now. Or and we see many old like people, after they retire, they're having a tough time dealing with their finances because they did not have adequate retirement planning in place. So what do you suggest, like how do we look at it, and when do we start focusing on it really intensively?
You have to start focusing on it from day one. You can't put off, don't ever put off your savings to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will never come. So that's why my first point, when you start a job, start saving from that first salary of yours. I know, I've seen people, when you start working, the first salary, you want to go and get the fanciest of gadgets, the latest smartphones, the best designer clothes. Yeah, but don't, you know, do it slowly. Do it slowly, but make sure whatever happens, you set aside money for savings. So therefore, coming back to the question, to answer retirement planning, invest in NPS right from day one. As small as 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees a month will go a long way when you retire. Okay, it will accumulate. The one good thing in India we have is our provident fund, okay, which companies encourage you to do. Add to voluntary provident fund, because the rate of interest at 8.5% tax free, it's as good as 10 to 12% taxable. So that is good, which keeps accumulating till you retire. Uh, Mutual funds, keep monthly installments, going. Let it go straight from, and keep it on the day of your salary or the next day of your salary, so that you are forced to set aside that amount. You know,
Yeah.
if you start, and I'm not saying, you invest huge amounts of money. No, start small. That small will build up. And year
Yeah.
on year, as you get your increments, as you rise up in your position, proportionately increase that saving amount. Initially, remember I said 50, 30,
Yeah.
20. That 50, 30, 20 is not a fixed rate.
Yeah.
As you grow, that rate could also change, because that 50 could become 40, 30 could become 20, and your 20 should become 40. I'm saying should become 40. So try, because see, what you save today, you will enjoy the benefits of that when you retire.
Every penny saved is a penny earned.
Of course.
Yes. So, with this, we come to the end of our podcast. I would really
Yeah,
like to thank you for all your knowledge. I mean, your expertise has really been helpful in this call, and I look forward to have many more sessions with you in the coming future. So, thank you very much, and
most welcome.
have a nice day.